Okay, welcome back. What can flow very nice now from speaking about halasana is speaking about Matsyasana, another asana called Matsyasana. And the reason that I'm tying it into halasana is that this is another asana that can very beautifully bring energy here to the third eye as well. But the beautiful thing about Matsyasana is actually energy can be perceived in different areas of the body. So there are a couple of ways to practice Matsyasana, and if you remember right, I mentioned about this before in the Supta Virasana, where if you put the heels underneath your hips and underneath your pelvic area and come backwards, then you can lift up the pelvic area and get a lot of energy here in the pelvis. But there is another way to practice Matsyasana, and this will be in the way where we keep the legs outstretched in front of us, okay? So the idea is that we take the hands, we place them underneath the buttocks, and then the legs are placed out ahead and stretched. And then we lift up, coming onto the elbows. Now, this is it. Matsyasana, it's not an extreme inversion, but it does create a slight feeling of an inversion because of the position of the body. So in some systems, it's even directed that through the right tucking within the pelvic area, energy can come to the lower chakras. But what I like to do, especially because Matsyasana for us is coming more in the end of the practice, is to bring the energy up higher. So if you can see, the energy can be very beautifully lifted up to the heart, okay? But when the neck is back like this, it can also be felt in Vishuddha. So what makes it go to the third eye? The conversion of the dristi. So I look into the eyebrow center with my eyes converged up like this whilst in the asana. And if you can feel it for yourself, you will feel that it really feels like a suction. For me, it's like a pulling of energy that extends from the feet. So I ensure that my feet are pointed and so my legs are engaged. And then it's almost like it's just pulling up all the way through my body. And comes up to the third eye. Of course, because the head is placed on the mat, actually it depends on I've got quite long arms, so I have to get my hands in the right position to comfortably get my head on the ground without collapsing my chest. But generally the head is felt to have direct contact with the floor, at least the crown of the head. So the energies will potentially also be experienced here in the crown. And I will speak about that more in when we speak about the headstand, okay, about the whole idea of bringing energies here to Sahasrara. Because quite honestly, I wouldn't use Matsyasana to bring energies to the crown. I would, for example, if you're doing a very heart-centered class, you can do the class to bring the energies here to Anahata chakra. If you're having an intense focus on the Vishuddha chakra, so maybe you are doing practice and you go very deep into Ardha Matsyendrasana, very deep into Salamba Sarvangasana, and then obviously without creating too much of trickiness in your neck, because this is one thing you have to be super careful not to collapse and compress the neck in this asana in any type of compromising way. But you can continue your deepening in Vishuddha chakra by focusing here in the throat chakra. So these can be good ways of why to use Matsyasana to feel the energy in these particular points, because it definitely has an opening, it definitely has an effect there. You have to definitely, though, if you're going into the heart, make sure that you can roll your shoulders back and you can really push up into the heart and get a good little back bend in there, so that the energy comes here mostly. But like I've said, the energy coming here, especially with this drishti points, is, I would say, probably one of the better regular ways to practice Matsyasana. And then, of course, everything that I have just shared previously in Halasana can be applied. Just that expansion into the third eye, enhancing clarity, enhancing the ability to concentrate, and all of these things that I have just shared with you. So Matsyasana in some systems is used as a counter pose after the shoulder stand or after Halasana. Now, some teachers don't like that so much because they feel like, you know, the neck's being pushed one way in one asana and then another way in another. And it can be quite extreme. So I would recommend that if you do link these together, that you really advise anybody not to. I mean, I would never recommend to compress the vertebrae anyway in the neck. You just need to always, I would say, have a spaciousness there anyway. But I would say from a tantric perspective, it can be very nice, and maybe it's also a beautiful way as well to end the practice, because if you come out of Matsyasana, you're immediately there in Shavasana. It's the same for Halasana. It is the same for Sarvangasana. The last three asanas we're speaking about now, you come out and you're ready for Shavasana. And sometimes that can be really beautiful, because you're then not kind of like coming up and going through another asana that can, I don't know, take away from that final surrender into the relaxation pause. Yes? Okay. But if you did decide that you wanted to then go into the possibility of the next asanas that I will share, the next three bring energy more to the top of the head, okay? But I just want to speak a little bit about that now. So originally, when I received knowledge from the first Tantra Yoga school I was in, the information there was that, for example, the rabbit pose and the headstand was bringing energy here to Sahasrara. Now, this, I don't think, loses its validity, because of course we understand we have an energy center here on top of the head and energy flows there. But quite honestly, the reality that any of these asanas, or many things that we do actually in spirituality, can actually open this is very idealistic. Very idealistic. It's just more of an idea, really. The vastness of this center that has been described to me from Guruji, from my guru, is that even after many, many years of hardcore Tantra sadhana, we are fortunate to bring consciousness to here, to have activation here. And he has said that from this point to here is between you and God. Now I guess you could say, yes, but Radhasi, then okay, maybe my relationship with God means I can do the headstand and the energy goes there and I activate it somehow. Who am I to say, really? But when I was taking initiation for the Sharabhyog, he didn't entertain at all that the energies can in any way activate Sahasrara. We can speak about it until here. So the reason I'm saying this to you is because I feel that I want to be honest with you with how I understand my own practice now, and how I am teaching also the kind of more advanced practices of yoga, that we don't really involve ourselves here in terms of yogasana. And that doesn't take away from you potentially saying to people that they can feel that they bring energy here, or that they bring light here. But I wouldn't use the word activate, and I wouldn't use the word open, okay? Just for to kind of fit in with what's generally kind of taught, you can just say you bring energy to this center, and then may that just be with the grace of the divine, with the grace of Shiva, whatever terminology or reference to the divine energy works for you. So yeah, I wanted to give this little intro now to express this to you. And yeah, let's move into those particular asanas, and then we can find some coaching points that are quite specific for you to use. Yeah. So let's have a look first at Shashangasana. Now this is the rabbit pose, and the rabbit pose is a great alternative if you don't want to take the whole class, if you're teaching, of course, up into the headstand or the half headstand. The rabbit pose is good because it gets people into almost like a preparation for coming up more intensively in the headstand or half headstand. But saying that, it can still be quite intense, because somehow with the half headstand and the headstand, you are supporting coming up by making this platform, this foundation with your head like this. So you're actually taking some of the weight on your arms. But with the rabbit pose, in the more like advanced way of doing it, it's actually the opposite. You even put your arms in a position that puts more pressure on the head without any support. So you need to have a good strength in the neck, and that's why I give options for this, okay? So my suggestion is get people first to feel how that feels, to actually come on the head like this, and you can put the hands in this direction. And if that's enough for some people in the beginning, then that's enough, okay? Another option is, if you want to get adventurous, is you put the hands simply here. There are some systems that say you can even draw the legs up like this if you're going to put the arms here like this. And you can feel the energy flowing down through the spine to the head. Now, if we're going to take this into the most kind of intense version, we interlock the fingers here behind the back, and we lift up the arms like this. Now you can imagine holding this for a few minutes. There will definitely be a charging of prana into the head. And because of, whenever you come out, please always come out carefully, taking yogasana to come out. Taking a few moments, ideally at least a minute. I'm being a little bit naughty delivering these classes. I'm not exactly taking the awareness space that I recommend after the asanas, just because I'm mostly demonstrating and I'm not holding for long periods of time. So when you are in that, did you see, that a lot of pressure is applied when the arms are in this position? If you can't get the arms fully above the head, you can also just rest the interlocked fingers there on the sacrum and slowly develop that capacity, that openness in the shoulder blades and the shoulders to be able to work the arms up. Now, in this, you definitely can sense that flow going down through the spine and the accumulation of energy there right in the crown. And that's it. The accumulation of energy there in Sahasrara. Or simply the crown. Yeah? Now, what can we expect if somebody is bringing energy here? Truly, if somebody is in a meditation here, they will be completely absorbed in pure consciousness, presence, pure awareness, the witnessing self. So you can use these terms to direct people to experience that oneness of consciousness that is this. I'm laughing because in reality you cannot describe this with words. So I'm kind of pulling here for you to just give you something that has some validity. Yeah. The true coaching point for anybody to be immersed here would be silence. Just silence. So, okay, yeah, very good. Okay, so let's leave this for a moment and we can open up a new dialogue for two very important asanas now, okay?